Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sorting Hat Podcast, the show where everything and anything can and will be sorted. I, as always, am your host, Michael Barryte, joined by my co-host, Brice.
You thought your intro would be so simple, Mr. Barryte. Okay, you have to imagine me swiveling around in the chair as I do that, and I have a cat, and it's like looking like real mad. But you're like, why is the cat a villain?
Mm-hmm. And then there's like a little like on the turn.
Yeah.
We're sorting the rest of the Brosnan films.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so you deal with my bullshit.
Reed, myself, Alan, we're all back. You probably listened to
If you have to
part
read
one.
stage directions for a podcast, it's not going well.
So we're diving straight into Tomorrow Never Dies, the one that I've not seen, Reed hasn't seen, Alan has seen.
Yeah. And if you don't start here, go to the first part of the Pierce Brosnan films.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
It'd be weird if you started on part 2. It'll be labeled part 1. Actually, when it probably first comes out, it won't be labeled part 1.
Honestly,
but at this
who
point,
are
it'll
we
be part 2.
to dictate your life choices?
Yeah. Do you? All right. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies. Yeah. So the second installment of the Pierce Brosnan Bond series. Worth noting, in my personal opinion, the Bond movies start off the strongest and then just slowly decline through the 4 films.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna get more and more questionable in quality.
So,
okay.
Tomorrow Never Dies, still a decent movie, but just nowhere where GoldenEye was. So the plot of this one, Jonathan Pryce is the villain here, and he is a big time media mogul. I guess think William Randolph Hearst sort of thing. And his whole deal is that he runs newspapers, media mogul, newspapers, TV shows, news, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But his plan of kind of like world domination is creating the news as well. So he decides that he is going to create a war between England and China. He does this by he has someone steal this device that messes with radar. So there's this English destroyer going through Chinese waters, but they think they're in neutral territory. And the Chinese are like, hey, back off. And they're like, why? We're not in your territory. And then Jonathan Pryce's secret
radar machine.
He also has this stealth boat that then he destroys the destroyer, the English destroyer, and it's like, oh man, the Chinese just attacked the English, and of course he is able to print the news faster than anybody else. So actually the original title for this movie was Tomorrow Never Lies.
Mm-hmm.
It was a typo. Someone accidentally said Tomorrow Never Dies. Like, that sounds cooler.
Yeah, I think that was the best move to go with.
Though Tomorrow Never Lies kind of makes more sense.
Because it's all about the muckraking of this media person, right?
Right,
Very
right.
fresh into what we're going through right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Hearst, and this is gossipy as hell, and I'm very petty, but fuck him. On At Midnight, Chris Hardwick, because he's married to one of the Hearsts, you weren't allowed to ever reference Citizen Kane on At Midnight.
Really?
Go back and check it, nerds. They weren't allowed to talk about it because the Hearst family still holds a grudge against Orson Welles to this day for Citizen Kane.
If you want to hear a little bit more on that, you should listen to You Must Remember This, which does a fun MGM run, and William Hearst is briefly referenced in their like studio go through the stuff. Just listen to that podcast. It's really good. Reed got me onto it. And if you care about Hollywood remotely, it's deep dives. Yeah. Very cool.
Nice.
For this film, what else do we need to know? I do know when I was looking through like the trivia on IMDb, apparently this one has the highest like body count of any Bond film. Like this one is like it's up there on like the violence meter.
I think you're right. You had a lot in the opening, which, again, like GoldenEye had more of a subdued opening, but still very strong. This one, it had a really cool opening where it's you're in this I think is it a Russian territory? I forget.
Yes.
But very cold climate. And then it's bouncing back and forth between like footage of this area and back in the MI6 control room where you have this general saying like, M, get your man out of there. It's like, no, he just needs a little more time. And he has this code word like Icarus or
I think you're thinking Icarus is.
Oh no, that's Die Another Day. I forget his code name. Say it's Angel. Archangel. It's like Archangel, get out of there, get out of there, and you don't hear the other end. It's like he's refusing. He's not answering.
Mhm.
It's like, you know who Archangel is. Yeah, you know who it is. Yeah, it's like, get him out of there. Yeah, we're gonna throw some bombs in there. It's like, no, he just needs a little more time. Like, Archangel, are you there? Yeah. And so finally, you get the perspective of that that Russian setting, and then Pierce Brosnan just starts fucking shit up. Yeah, killing people.
Like 190 something people die in this film.
Yeah.
I also heard that this one is a lot more gadget heavy because some of the feedback they got from fans on GoldenEye was like it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones, but like it was not as tech heavy as they were expecting.
Especially the car.
So yeah, in this one you'll notice there's way more of that, right?
Especially the car.
Mhm.
So yeah, in GoldenEye it's the first time they introduced the Beamer. They had his classic Aston Martin in there.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gets this Beamer where Q is like telling him, there's the machine guns in the headlights and there's all this stuff, but the only thing you see that car do is like drive on a dirt road in Cuba, and there's a little radar like, a plane's about to land on top of you, beep 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 beep. That's all it does.
Yeah, show us the gadgets.
It's because they didn't get that prototype until way late in the production, so they weren't able to do much with that. This movie made up for it. This was Q is like, your car's got this, you can control it from your phone. It's got guns here. It's got little caltrops to pop the tires of other cars. It's got a saw that is just very conveniently placed for the wire that you'll have to cut at a specific point. So yeah, they definitely they had a much bigger budget for this one as well.
And do you think that served the film well to to listen to the fans on that one and give them that sort of like fan service?
For that car sequence, I will say is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I didn't really care.
All right.
Yeah. So it's pretty much one scene with that car where he's driving his car from the back seat with his mobile device. And it's also not even really a very sexy car. It's more of like a car that an accountant would have. But that's the car that BMW wanted to promote. So,
who's our Bond girl in this film?
Bond girl. So you have two. Oh. You have Michelle Yeoh. She's you might know her from the Crouching Tiger movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she is pretty much the Chinese James Bond, or Hong Kong James Bond. Yeah. And so she's both the Hong Kong government and the English government. They both know that something's wrong with Jonathan Pryce. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the bottom of why this is all happening. So they're both investigating in their own ways. So yeah, she's pretty much just a female version of him.
So does that cause that sort of romantic comedy of I hate you because we're so alike, and then they come around to each other, or was it instant attraction?
There actually wasn't anything romantic until the very end.
I see.
Yeah, he did have. There's the other Bond girl who's I can't remember Jonathan Pryce's character's name, but his wife was a former
Elliot Carver.
Elliot Carver, that's right. So his wife, played by Terry Hatcher, she's a former flame of Bond. And so she's the other Bond girl, and that's where you get the pre-sex scene, and she admittedly felt like she didn't do fantastic at the role. I kind of agree with her, but she got the job done.
Do you think in terms of she didn't understand the role, or that she didn't do enough?
Apparently she did it as a favor to her then husband, who was like, I want to fuck a Bond girl.
I
and
see.
she's like, all right, here's your chance.
I feel like if I was like, if that was like what my husband told me, I'd be like, all right. Like,
Well, she was offered it first.
Okay.
Yeah, she was offered it first.
So you should probably want this for the benefit of my artistic.
Oh,
okay, all right.
I thought you were just going to be like, all right, I'll draft up the divorce papers.
Yeah, that is probably more like what I would do.
Yeah, she was actually pregnant at the time of filming it. Like
Wow.
she had a nude scene that they filmed from behind because she was pregnant at the time.
Gotcha.
She still looked amazing.
Is there anything else we need to know about this film before we would sword it?
Well, I mean, I just want to know how things sort of round out in the end.
Yeah.
Also, again, spoilers.
Spoilers.
So,
This is
Right.
part 2 of
Yeah, well, Bond and I forget Yao's name, her character's name, but they do some sleuthing and they find all points leading to Elliot Carver. They find his hidden stealth boat. They infiltrate it, and like most Bond movies, it leads to a climactic shootout. And you also have a fun henchman here who's just a big blonde guy who's just strong. He was actually supposed to have the weird brain capability of like his brain was jacked up to where he would mistake pleasure for pain and vice versa. So any pain he received, he would take pleasure in. And they nixed it, but kind of kept it for the later Bond film.
Oh.
Yeah. So, big climactic shootout. They take down Elliot Carver. Yeah, he dies in his boat, and the day is saved.
So he just has a radar thing and an invisiboat, and is hoping.
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money. We shouldn't
The Batman
discount.
plan.
Yeah, we shouldn't discount a lot of money as a supervillain's helpful tools.
Right. And he definitely likes to be the face of things. I feel like when sorting a lot of movies, you could also it's the villain that kind of drives where we sort it, and it also drives the themes. So like, yeah, he's definitely more of like a look at me, look at all my shit sort of person. So
So then it'd be, I mean, the sensationalism, the construction of the news, like building the news, that all seems very Slytherin.
Yep.
Also
wanting to be in the spotlight.
Would you then argue that it would be the reverse of that is what the actual movie is, because the hero is clearly fighting for the reverse? Or
you could say it might be easier just to go with whatever the villain is doing, because I feel like in most Bond movies, it's the villain who's driving the theme of it. So
and
they are the ones who they're posing the question to Bond of like, is it worth doing this or this?
Yeah, and like,
so it's
and,
a cautionary
and then the thematics like bounce back off Bond and like in his own life and his own personal growth. But it all
That's
centers
true.
on like, this is something that somebody wants to do that is destructive, and everyone has to try to like deal with that.
Right,
James has to stop it.
Yeah.
I say James like we're friends. Bond. James
Jimmy,
Bond. No one calls him
Jimmy.
James.
Sorry, fun fact.
Sure.
Yeah. Sean Connery was not the first person to play Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh. So there was I guess a teleplay.
Oh yes, I'd heard about this.
Yeah. For this show back in the 50s called Climax. And it was just it was kind of like I guess like Twilight Zone, where they'd be long episodes, but they're referred to as films. So it's the first time we see Bond on film. Somebody got the show got the rights from Fleming, and it was the first time he had ever sold his work to anything on screen. So he went for it, and so you had an American James Bond who was called they called him Jimmy. It wasn't and it was Casino Royale. It was Casino Royale.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible. Actually, I looked it up. It wasn't terrible, but damn, he is not nearly as cool as
Jimmy Bond.
Yeah, because he has that accent that seemed like every guy had in the 50s, where he's kind of like a Hardy Boy. He talk kind of like this. I'm James Bond.
I see. Not enough bass in that voice.
Right. Yeah.
So where are you thinking based off what you were leading to?
I mean, if you're saying what you're saying, and I argued that our villain's plot is Slytherin, then probably the film is a Slytherin.
I'd go with that. I'd
You
go
know,
with
yeah, we
Slytherin.
can also like even fold in the like at this point being like we have to give the fans what they want because we're starting to see by this point the film industry kind of start to shift a little bit more of like, oh, okay, we can do sequels, we can really take advantage of what a franchise
This
is.
is them, like, they're already almost 20 films in at this point.
Yeah.
As far as like franchise
And
building.
we're in the DVD era. The GoldenEye was the first
Yeah.
DVD film for Bond, by the way. So
Mhm.
we're just trying to figure
cool.
where that is.
Right. So
Yeah.
they're now really going all in on like we got to be pumping one of these out
Yeah.
as frequently as possible, which is ironic because then there was a gap. Or no, there's less of a gap here because it goes for the 99, but then there's more of a gap in the next one.
And
or
my,
something
and
like
my
that.
over.
Can't remember.
My
Can't remember. You might be
point
right.
was that anytime you are strictly inserting something into the story to satisfy fans, but not necessarily first and foremost satisfy the story and give
Sure.
the story what it needs, I think that's a Slytherin move.
Understood.
Yeah, and that's something that apparently there were a lot of complications on set. The director didn't sign up to do another movie because he said it was just a headache. It was just, the producers wanting to do so much fan service. So you did have a
and
lot
Brosnan
more
apparently
action.
didn't like the experience much either.
Yeah. I think he's even quoted for saying like there's GoldenEye and everything else. And everything else was a blur.
So yeah, Slytherin.
Yeah, so
Slytherin.
let's dive into The World Is Not Enough.
The world is not enough. In the previous episode, I love this. This is my favorite song, I think, of all the or maybe you Only Live Twice is really good too.
Well, I mean, Live and Let Die is probably the most popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Paul McCartney and but I mean, again, why I love GoldenEye so much. Tina Turner with Bono and the Edge.
I mean,
for
like this is
GoldenEye.
just a little gay boy's fantasy for like what you can get out of a Bond film.
Then later with Skyfall, I thought Adele rocked it with the Skyfall song.
Oh no, she's got a voice built to be singing James Bond theme songs.
Yeah.
So tell us more about this film because I don't really know anything outside of this.
Yeah.
This is one that I can contribute a little to as well, having seen it more recently. But
help me out, Michael. But
Sure.
so this one, there's a woman, Electra King, who she's this very very rich famous person. I guess her father was a philanthropist.
Yeah, her father is Sir Robert King, who owns like a British oil. He's a British oil man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got this oil tycoon.
So she in her past she was kidnapped, and MI6, the English government, they told her father, we do not negotiate with terrorists, and she ended up being released later. But that's something that definitely comes into play later. So the father did not pay a ransom. So she was kidnapped by this man, Renard, who he is the one who has the ability to, he doesn't feel pain. He basically doesn't feel. Yeah. Physically.
So it's not making him horny, but he just doesn't feel anything.
Yeah.
He has no sense of touch at all.
The bullet went in his brain and is going to kill him.
Yeah, hasn't killed him yet, but it will kill him eventually.
Through like lead poisoning or...
Oh, I thought you meant like it was slowly still moving somehow.
What?
So they can't get rid of it or it'll kill him right away. But
so
eventually it will.
So
it will
basically he's just a time bomb where he's like, I'm going to enact all my ideologies and fuck as much shit up as I can because I'm going to die
and
soon.
There are actual phenomenons of people suffering traumatic brain injuries and it dramatically changing their personality and like sometimes making them way more aggressive.
Oh yeah, there
is that real, like
the one who got the
reality
pole through his head and then they removed
yeah.
it and then he was just like lizard brain aggressive. And they were like, we don't understand that because like the part of his brain that understands morality was just like
pawns.
gone.
Wild. Okay, so what else happened?
So this guy Renard, he
KGB turned terrorist.
Right. So he was always a bad guy before he got shot in the head. There's talk about disrupting this pipeline that Electra King has been building in order to get oil from Turkey
it's
to
Kazakhstan and it's Kazakhstan and it's running basically across Europe.
Yeah, it's going to help her people. Also, she's from a race of people that are dying out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to help her people a lot. But there's this guy Renard who's there to destroy this pipeline.
Yeah.
Well, you think he's gonna destroy this pipeline?
Well, there's this whole bit where Bond shows up as an inspector to check out the pipeline or whatever. Yeah. And then, I mean, this one has some weird ass set pieces.
Right.
None of them are particularly good.
Right. They don't make sense.
They don't make sense. Let me describe two of them for you.
Right.
The two that I was wow, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. They're on a mountain in the Swiss Alps or wherever.
Yeah.
And
somewhere where the pipeline's going through.
Electra and Bond are together at the top of the ski slopes with their skis on, and then suddenly these snowmobiles that are being parachuted down are descend on them, and these guys are shooting at them, and then Bond is you go that way, I'll distract them, and then over this ski down the hill manages to take out these snowmobiles that are slowly descending. A few of them make it down and actually then cut their zip lines or their...
Doesn't his ski land on one of their parachutes, ripping it open?
Something like that. Yeah.
You can bond anything
and
to
then
weapon.
the other top tier action sequence is when he's following up with this Zukovsky.
Valentin Zukovsky, who was introduced in GoldenEye. I love his character.
He's really fun. So he's just I mean, he almost is in Indiana Jones.
Robbie Coltrane, is that his name?
Yeah. He's almost like Sulla in Indiana Jones a little bit. As he's just the guy who has connections.
He doesn't necessarily like Bond.
This is true.
But they find themselves in positions where of mutual benefiting each other.
He goes back to Zukovsky and is hey, I need more information, and then a giant fucking buzzsaw cuts through the entire building that they're in because a helicopter with a arm of saws is just zigzagging back and forth, which I don't know how physics-wise that would work because the saw...
The fact is, it wouldn't.
Yeah. It sounds like two children playing James Bond and be and then this happens and the helicopter has a chainsaw.
Yeah. Well, it's not even a chainsaw. It's like
layers of buzzsaws,
saw blades.
Yeah, one on top of the other.
Yeah, that's some I have a force field sort of that's the only way you can block that move.
Dumb shit.
Yeah, I looked up some of the trivia on this. Those saws are meant for cutting wood. They would in no way cut an Aston Martin or
cut the car
BMW
completely
down the middle.
But they look scary, so that's all you need.
Yeah, and apparently they wanted them for GoldenEye and couldn't get them. So it's finally we got the buzzsaw helicopters. So going back to the plot, so they're trying to track down Renard, and meanwhile Bond, he kind of wonders how much is Electra King still, does she have Stockholm syndrome? Is she still kind of helping him out? And then you find out not exactly. He kind of got Stockholm syndrome when he kidnapped Electra. She used her powers of manipulation, and he is now actually working for her.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not only that, somewhere in the midst of all of this, Electra goes to MI6 and is hey, I need help finding Bond, or there's something happening with the pipeline. There's a nuclear bomb on the pipeline that's going through. So you, James Bond, and Christmas Jones. Yes, that's right. A Bond girl named Christmas Jones.
Is this the one that's played by Denise Richards?
Yes. Razzie Award-winning Denise Richards.
I love her so much.
Voted worst Bond girl ever, and I think it was deserved.
You both need to get in the pipeline and ride this weird frictionless something to catch up with the bomb. And
the bomb, they were in front of the bomb,
right? So they need to deactivate the bomb because Denise Richards or Christmas Jones is a nuclear physicist.
Christmas Jones,
yeah. So yeah, they have to get in the pipeline. So this bomb is coming down this pipeline that also has lights in it somehow.
Yes.
Has access for people to get in and out of. And so like, all right, we'll intercept the pipeline, but we have to get in this little roller coaster thing and go as close to as fast as the bomb so that it doesn't just plow right through us.
This is so
and
bonkers.
And work on the bomb, defuse it while.
And then Bond realizes, wait a minute, the thing that Alan said of like, wait, Elektra clearly is doing this on purpose. She wants the pipeline destroyed. So he then is like, Christmas, we gotta not do the bomb thing, get away. And so the bomb explodes and they survive, and then M is like, oh shit, James Bond just got killed, which is exactly what James Bond wants Elektra to think, because then Elektra is like, JK, I wasn't here for me, I'm taking you hostage, M.
Yeah.
And then she kills everybody in the room and takes M.
Yeah. It's the first time you really see M as part of the
doing
conflict
things.
and yeah.
I do think it's pretty it's a small interesting aspect is any time that Bond realizes that the power dynamic between him and a woman is not him, because like typically, like, I don't know how straighties talk about it, like he's always like the top, he's the alpha in any sort of like relationship that he has with a woman. So like realizing this whole time that she was the top and he was the bottom in their dynamic, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and like this one was actually the point where I was like, oh, well, like Denise Richards, not great, but like she's presented as like this science queen.
Yeah.
Science queen.
And her outfit is Laura Croft. It's it's literally taken from Laura Croft.
Well, that was around like Tomb Raider just exploded. Yeah. So that makes sense that they were trying to insert like
it makes no sense like the
Laura
outfits
Croft
that are being worn, but like whatever.
I guess they wanted
Laura
Angelina
Croft
Jolie.
Christmas Jones.
Yeah.
So overall, where do y'all think this one lands?
Well, it's.
Well, so real quick, the last plot point being that the whole reason why she was trying to destroy her own was a diversion.
Yes,
was they're trying to destroy all other pipelines.
Yes,
and so that she would have the only one. Yeah, and that the British government would have to rely on her pipeline. She could basically destroy the British government, kind of as payback for them not bailing her out when she was.
Yeah,
kidnapped.
so she's looking to create a monopoly, and by getting this nuclear bomb piece, because they wind up like splitting the nuclear, like they take half of the nuclear bomb, so only the bomb component of I don't understand it.
Yeah, half the bomb.
Like, and then they go to a nuclear submarine to turn it into like actually truly dangerous shit.
Yeah.
And so they've
just
got
a lot
like
of things that wouldn't make sense. Like there's a smelting factory on the submarine.
Yeah. And yeah, it's nutty and weird. And I don't like, it was one of those things where sometimes you're able to like not track a like spy thriller, and you're like, it's kind of okay because they're just saying like, we need to get this so we can do this, and you're like, that's fine. But like in this case, they actually don't. They neither do enough explaining, and when you actually like follow what they're doing, it makes less sense, I feel.
Right. Just let it happen. Just let it be.
This is meant for like a much more passive experience, viewing experience.
So first time, it ends with them destroying the submarine.
They destroy the submarine. They like drive the submarine into the ocean floor.
Yeah.
So no bomb, no pipelines being destroyed,
and then Renaud gets. Elektra gets shot and Renaud gets stabbed through the heart.
Bond shoots her in cold blood.
Yes, he does. It's actually pretty crazy because she's like,
gotta get that power back. Yeah,
she's like, you couldn't kill me. And
not
then he
in cold blood.
Yeah, and then he just like does it and then jumps out the window.
Hell
like
Indiana Jones ass move.
Throughout it, you're wondering how much power does she have over Bond as well? You know, she does have like manipulation. She's playing the damsel,
And
but she's
they did
controlling.
have sex like at the very start of things.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Also, first time we get introduced to John Cleese's character.
Yes.
Oh, a very welcome addition, in my
absolutely.
opinion.
So I think the whole point was that Desmond Llewellyn, who's playing Q, is getting a little old. He's getting up there. He's still as charming as ever, but
Sure.
he's been around since I think from Russia with Love. He's been in the most Bond movies by far than any of the other actors. And so Q is the one who supplies all the gadgets. Q is, I found out, is short for quartermaster. His character his name is actually Major Boothroyd, which was named after a friend of Ian Fleming, who was like who noticed that in the Bond books, Bond uses a Beretta. He's like, Beretta, that's good for going in a lady's handbag. You want a Walther PPK for Bond. And so in the first movie, Dr. No, they even say like one of the first scenes with Sean Connery is M saying like, give me your Beretta. You're getting this new gun, the Walther PPK. So that's where Q comes in. He's getting old. John Cleese is like is other Q. Pierce Brosnan jokingly refers to him as R. It's like, if he's Q, does that make him R? And that they actually called him R in the credits.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. In later movies, John Cleese is just Q. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's sent into the Q.
But I would say, based off of a lot of things, the scraping of the barrel, as far as action scenes, the more doofy Q/R dynamic.
Christmas Jones.
I think this is a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, in my estimation.
I mean, if not that we have to assign one house per movie, but Hufflepuff might be going to the next one for me.
It doesn't.
My backup plan, based only on like, and you said we have to really frame this around the villains. She was playing some fourth dimensional chess. There were so many things that she had to have contingency plans for in order to make all of these things work.
I would argue, though, in the case of most villains, is it perhaps like they usually are going to be playing fourth dimensional chess?
But do they usually like brainwash James Bond to the point that he doesn't realize he's been helping this entire time?
Not usually.
No.
No, you're right.
So I would say that's like
right.
that calculation would like maybe give the edge to like a more Ravenclaw sort of like.
Sure.
True.
I just think.
Yeah.
But then it's just surrounded by so many like cheesy things. It might be hard.
Then you have Renard as well, who's Renard. It's like the whole time you think he's the main villain. So like, do you base it off of him or do you base it off of Electra King, who's been running the show the whole time?
But I'd also go with her miscalculating on a number of things to be fairly Hufflepuff. Like, she thought she had it all down, and then she just straight up got shot in the chest and died on a bed.
All right.
That could also be a Gryffindor thing of like being a little too bold.
Sure, that's true. That's true.
My point is if we're assigning each one a different house, I would give this one to Gryffindor.
Sure. I still feel that this is a Hufflepuff.
And I still think it's a Ravenclaw because how efficient just to be like to take care of a villain with Occam's razor.
Actually, no, I changed my mind because I think the next one might be a Gryffindor instead.
Oh.
As like, yeah. I changed my mind.
All right, so we don't have to decide.
No.
Let's move on to the next film.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we are at. Oh wait, we do have to address that the main reason I believe that she was named Christmas Jones is for the last line of the goddamn movie, which is they have a heat sensing locator on James Bond.
Not the first time this has happened.
Not the first time that this has happened, but they're like, let's see where he is because he's not responding. And so they do like a slow zoom in and it's his body on a bed and then suddenly another body moves off the bed and you're like,
we see one person, shouldn't there be two? And then you see like legs come out
and then you cut to the scene and he says, do you want to deliver the line?
I thought Christmas only came once a year.
That is the last line of this goddamn movie.
Yep.
That is the only reason that she was named Christmas Jones. There's no other reason.
Yep. Yeah.
Like somebody had that awful, awful innuendo and was like, this is how we're going to cap off this motherfucker.
But at least we know that Bond isn't selfish in bed.
Yeah.
That's why those women are always going crazy over him.
Right. So now we're moving on.
I had forgotten what the line was. So when you were like, "Oh, that last line," I rewatched it. I thought it was going to be "Christmas Came Early."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which would have been just as bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it's I didn't know that. Yeah, it's.
Fuck you.
Right. But yeah, so it is. Now we're on to Die Another Day.
Die Another Day.
Which, as far as going from an exceptional James Bond theme to a less than, I would go.
Can we talk about the James Bond theme for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
I found something amazing that I kind of wish I didn't find out. The James Bond theme was
like
actually
the theme.
Is actually taken from a musical that never existed, that never came to fruition.
Oh.
And if you were to look up the song Good Sign, Bad Sign, you look this up on YouTube. You want to do this if you want to not enjoy the Bond theme as much. You want to do this. It is musical contraception. This song. It will dry you up. It will soften you up. It is this silly song sung by someone with an Indian accent. Done with a sitar, which I think is kind of cool, but it's about this like kid that it was this sign maker in India who has a really terrible sneeze and like the hardships he had growing up. It is silly. It is the Bond theme.
That is
exactly
so funny.
It is the Bond theme, and so I guess there's some legal disputes between the composer of the theme and the creator of this song, and I'm not sure how it was resolved, but this at least the composer of the Bond theme saw this stupid little song and saw something badass in it to create the Bond theme. So yeah, listeners, please stop the podcast now. Look up Good Sign, Bad Sign, and do yourself a favor or disservice.
We'll wait for you.
And we'll see you in just a moment.
Good pause.
So then just going off of
now that you've heard it, isn't it terrible?
But you're saying that the specific one for this film was also
Die Another Day.
Yes, Madonna.
It's Madonna, and it is not good.
It is. It is bad.
Yeah.
It is bad.
Like so it's
also the first time we get the singer of the Bond song in the movie as well.
Oh, yeah, that never happens usually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also unique because this is the first time when the theme song is playing or the title theme is playing. This is the first time that you are seeing narrative play out, not just like abstract visuals, I believe.
Right. Usually you get silhouettes, some CGI, some really colorful
It's really reminiscent of
openings.
like what would happen with Prestige TV opening credits,
This
where you're
time-
getting like sort of like musical elements. It's more like,
But not here. No. You get to watch James Bond be tortured in North Korea.
Yeah.
okay,
He is being repeatedly poisoned by scorpions and given the antidote and like being
Waterboarded.
Yeah, waterboarded. Yeah,
that seems like
ice
such
water,
an
all this
inefficient
stuff.
way to torture someone. Like so much like you have to have so much scorpion like antidote.
Yeah,
And scorpions are hard to use.
And you think that
what if they get you? That
you
sucks.
think that the scorpion is like actually going to be a more long-standing like element or motif within the movie.
It's like
and
the octopus was with
it's-
Spectre. Yeah.
Right, like nope, it's just in this opening sequence. It's referenced like once a little bit later, but
yeah.
otherwise,
I don't even remember that. I
mean,
think maybe the car was called the Scorpion. The Zhao's car was that called a Scorpion?
Maybe I don't remember, but so it starts in North Korea.
Right. So we're introduced to this. Also, a lot of these openings are very similar. It's this cold climate and it's kind of like this outdoor, this tarmac kind of scenario. World Is Not Enough broke it, but honestly, World Is Not Enough had a very boring opening. It was like Bond going into an office
Swiss bank
to have a meeting.
and then it goes south, and then that also. I just realized that one also had the weird hot air balloon escape.
Yes.
Everything about The World Is Not Enough is a Hufflepuff. I'm so sorry.
I'm coming around to that, Michael.
So,
so sorry.
What's the plot on this one?
Die Another Day. So, they're in North Korea. Again, icy climate. We're introduced to two bad guys. One is this general what's the general's name? The
Tan Sun Moon.
Tan Sun Moon, who is the son of this like bigger general.
Yeah, and he's been trading weapons for African conflict diamonds.
Yes, so he is using his power because he studied at Oxford.
Yeah, he studied in the
Cambridge,
West.
Cambridge, Oxford, and met some bad dudes over there because like he has a perfect English accent, and made friends with this guy Zhao, and so together they are they're doing exactly what Michael said.
They're basically just trying to bring might to North Korea, which of course then Bond just pretends to be another person who's selling them conflict diamonds.
Right.
And then...
we start with the surfing sequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
It starts with a surfing sequence.
So we have 3 people surfing onto the coast of North Korea in a giant wave.
As you do.
Yeah. And then, unzipping their wetsuits, and it's, British agents. And, so they find the actual person who's selling the actual seller of the conflict diamonds, get rid of him.
And
Bond
then
takes his
Bond
place.
is him.
Yeah, Bond takes his place. Yeah,
I will say they introduced our main bad guy, Tan Sun Moon, in a very cool way. It's been the first time that
remind me.
So it starts with him he's kicking a punching bag.
Yes.
And then he says, "Let him out," and they unzip it, and it's the martial artist's instructor was thrown into this punching bag that he was beating the shit out of before. So you're
because he didn't like criticism.
Yes.
So we're this gentleman has a short fuse, maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as bad guy introductions to just set up he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
that's a pretty fun
around,
one.
yeah.
This movie was actually way more fun than I remember.
Yeah. No, it really
it is I'd say the worst one, but it is more fun than I remembered.
Yeah. And so then things go south. James Bond has a ring that allows things to,
well, they find out that he's not the actual seller. So also the first time I think you see a smartphone in one of these movies.
Probably,
besides the remote control car.
It's 2002 now.
Okay, yeah.
No, this is later. This is
2002.
Oh, because it's because it's the past.
And it'll make sense that James Bond definitely will have one because we're starting to see people more and more have.
Yeah. Right. Well, and this is the villain, the villain who has this.
Okay.
So he's so he kind of looks up the seller. It's oh no, that's not the seller. That's James Bond.
Yeah.
So James Bond has to make a impromptu exit. Detonates this bomb, which shoots a bunch of diamonds onto Zhao's face,
Ooh.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then Bond and Moon have this big
hovercraft escape chase towards a waterfall.
Right. Moon's father is then really pissed off because this MI6 agent killed my son. And did he know about his dealings, or he questioned his son on his?
He was
his
questioned, but
dealings?
his son was basically keeping all of this under wraps, and that's why everything went south, because they heard that the general was coming, and then Bond was like, "Now's my time. People are distracted. I'm gonna blow up this case with diamonds," and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh, gotcha.
And so the son flies off a cliff into a waterfall, and they're like, "He's dead," and then the general's like, "And now we're arresting you."
Yeah, so they take Bond in, they hold him hostage, torture for years. He has a big grizzly beard. By the first time we see Bond with a beard,
Madonna sings as we watch him get tortured.
Right.
And on the Madonna thing, I don't know this for sure. You know what my best guess would be? She was this was the height of when she was trying to have an acting career. I would not be surprised if they tried to get her for the song, and then she was like, "I'll do it, but I get to be in the movie as well."
That's possible. That's very possible.
Or maybe the opposite happens.
It's very possible.
So what happens?
So finally they so after the sequence, they make it seem like they're going to then execute Bond, but it ends up it's actually a trade. They're trading Bond for Zhao. So then MI6, they're keeping Bond under wraps. He's slow, so they're not releasing him. They're pretty much the MI6 M is constraining Bond in his hospital bed, just in case he's given away any secrets and he might be a liability now.
No, he's been gone for years. They got to figure stuff out,
right?
On their end. Yeah.
So Bond is trapped in this medical room. He lowers his heart rate, because Bond can apparently do that,
Yep.
to
What?
dangerously low levels, to where they come in and they like take off the restraints, like, what's wrong? And then he shoots back up to normal, knocks him out, and then escapes. Gets to I guess this facility was in offshore, like Hong Kong. So he goes to Hong Kong, goes to this hotel where everybody knows him, and was like, yeah, was pretty much just able to clean himself up and like become James Bond again. Finally, he meets up with M secretly to be like, are you cool? Okay, you're cool. You're cool. You want to finish the job? I'm going to finish the job regardless. So might as well just let me do my job.
All
Like,
right,
all right,
yeah.
cool. So,
Meanwhile,
there's this British playboy, pretty much British Richard Branson,
yeah.
Okay.
who's this like big diamond importer, exporter.
Gustav Graves.
Gustav Graves.
He's
And,
got a diamond mine in Iceland
right.
because sure.
Yeah. I forget which clues lead him to Gustav.
Well, it's this weird thing where like it is.
Oh, first they go to Cuba.
Yeah, it's so he while he's in China, he hears that Zhao is now in Cuba, and he's like, I need to go to Cuba because I guess I need to go to Cuba. And
Yeah.
while he's in Cuba, he meets Halle Berry.
Who's
Okay.
another, like, she's the American James Bond now.
Oh
She's
gosh,
the
now
American
I'm now
James
caught up on the fact that this is a film I watched. But
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
a child. I saw it in theater, so you have to forgive me.
Gotcha. No worries. So you
Yeah.
can start to fill in other bits of information. So
When
she,
she comes out of the water,
Yeah.
and it's an
Yeah.
homage to the other
to
film.
Dr.
Right.
No. Yeah.
yeah, so she comes out and she like they just have like flirty talk time
Yeah.
for a bit.
They the first time you actually see sex in a Bond movie.
Oh,
Because every other
Oh,
time
yeah.
before that, it's been postcoital,
Postcoital, yeah.
or
yeah, corny
something
one-liners.
before it.
Is
Yeah.
she the first black Bond girl?
No.
Okay.
No. There've been a handful of others. But I think this is definitely the first like agent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she
Um,
works for the NSA, although we don't know that at the start. At first, it's just like we're just flirting, and
Yeah.
like then we have sex. And
She's
then,
this cute girl that happens to be wherever I'm
I'm
investigating.
here for work, but I'm also not here for
right?
work.
Yeah.
And then so they wind up at like a gene therapy clinic.
Yeah.
Where patients can have their appearances altered through like DNA magic.
Of
It's
course.
never
Yeah.
really explained.
Right. So you see Zhao, he's like undergoing this, but Bond interrupts it. So
Yeah.
Zhao then has to make a break for it. He's got all these diamonds in his face because of that explosion that Bond caused.
Mhm.
These diamonds are now a part of his face.
Does he have like the sort of like gratuitous Bond like nickname like Diamond Face or do they
It's
No.
actually just Zhao.
He's
Yeah.
just called Zhao.
It's the guy who's in the first Fast and the Furious movie, who's the villain. He was the villain in that. Very handsome man. But but then they shave his head and put diamonds in his face.
Yeah, basically through that, Zhao has like left some diamonds, and that leads them to Gustav Graves,
Okay.
who is the
Right.
diamond mine. They're
That's
like,
it. So Bond finds one of those diamonds, and it has his Graves' signature on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So all right. So Graves is probably involved with all this. After a lot of needling and prodding and a fantastic fencing sequence,
that goes way too long, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
we find out that we get led to this Iceland
Palace.
where Bond finds out that Gustav Graves is General Moon.
Yeah,
That he had the genetic
Oh.
therapy redone, so to go from a Korean man to an English man, and he already had the English education and training and stuff where he was able to pull it off.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
and so
Like
with
Face Off.
we're not
Right,
yes
right.
exactly
It's Face Off.
the Nick Cage John Travolta classic.
One way face off.
Which there's a in between portion that we're like, so how did you get a diamond mine? But like, don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
no,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
But he has basically brought all these people to Ice Palace in Iceland to show off Icarus, which is a giant reflection sun thing.
Yeah. The point was that it would create sunlight on both sides of the world at the same time, so which would help agriculture. But I'm thinking the whole time, like, you're gonna destroy the environment,
Right?
Well, he's gonna essentially like put a stop to nighttime.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what the public gets to see it as, because he has this showcase where he's like, here's that. Also, at some point, he shows off like a speedy car on the ice. But then the more nefarious purposes come out because he also has some North Korean, like not covert in any way generals, like also at the unveiling for this, who then later he shows
what are they doing here?
that he later shows, I've harnessed the power of the sun to make a sun laser. Like
it always comes down to death lasers.
He's doing Starkiller Base before Starkiller Base did it in The Force Awakens.
Gotcha.
And he also has a henchman named Mr. Kill.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Which is that's fun.
Mr. Kill.
Yeah.
So that was like we just got to get this draft out, and then it just stuck.
one L just to shake things up.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then what happens?
So big car chase between because Zhao is also here at this ice palace. You also find out that there was a mole inside MI6.
Yes.
That this one of course, female agent that Bond ends up sleeping with at one point, that she is actually working for Graves. But
she doesn't know that it's Moon. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think.
And because she was her tie-in was that she was she had the same fencing instructor.
Who is Madonna?
Madonna is the fencing instructor for the villain Gustav Graves and this Bond girl mole. And I guess she's apparently better than, like, she's like an Olympic Olympian fencer. So they train together all the time. Big car chase because Zhao's there. Zhao has his I think BMW has like a big Gatling gun on the back. Bond has his car, which turns invisible.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
This is this is part of the reason why I was like, because feeling pretty Hufflepuffy here. Because the car's invisible. Even when John Cleese walks past it kind of looks like one of his silly walks.
Yeah.
Because it uses like it uses cameras on the other side to like record the thing that should be and then projects it. So it's not like really invisible.
Science.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, there's also the point where he runs away from the laser in the jet car that Gustav had.
Yes.
For like a moment.
And there's also the point where he surfs on a tsunami.
Yeah.
So we had the surfing scene in the beginning, but now we have him surfing. Yeah, this laser has broken a glacier, creates a tsunami, Bond.
And then he surfs on like the car door or something like that.
With a parachute. So he's guiding a parachute while surfing.
So he's like parasailing to then just surfing
this wave. Yeah, it took it to the next level on this one.
So then he has a car chase with Zhao in the ice palace.
Well, outside the ice palace first, then going back. Yeah, a car chase through an ice palace, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Aesthetically, anyway, it looked really cool.
He busts open the frozen wall that had Halle Berry trapped in. She's in this room that's filling up with water. You know that trope.
Yep.
So he's able to bust that open. But yeah, ends up crushing Zhao with a chandelier made of ice, maybe diamonds. I don't know. Then follows Gustav Graves to his cargo plane.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, where General Moon Sr. also is, and Gustav's saying, "Don't you see? It's me, Father. It's me." And then the general just like kind of softening up for a moment, and then seeing what his plan is to like hold the world ransom. It's like, my son died already. Yeah.
Ooh.
So he then gets an honorable death because his son kills him.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making him completely irredeemable if he weren't already to the people who are like, maybe the reason that he's doing this is good.
Yeah.
And then Bond, how does Bond kill? Does he kick him out of the plane?
No, Bond opens the parachute, which so like basically Graves / Moon is like, there are only 2 parachutes and I've got one of them. And then Bond is like, pulls the cord. And there's like a hole in the side of the plane. So he just gets like sucked into the exhaust of the plane or like the turbine of the plane. And then Bond and Jynx, Halle Berry. I don't think we even mentioned Halle Berry's name was Jynx.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Her name is Jynx, or her nickname is Jynx because she claims that she has bad luck.
Okay.
Which is like the attribute that you definitely should have as an NSA
She almost
agent.
drowned in a nice palace, so I would give that to her.
Yeah.
But then they have to like force land the helicopter or something, or force land the plane in using the helicopter that was in the cargo. It's something like that. Like,
Honestly, I've forgotten a lot of this movie, but
And
that
then-
sounds right.
Yeah, and then
that sounds right.
how does it end?
they wind up. Oh, they wind up with
They
wind up with a bunch of Graves's diamonds, and then they like are just having like not quite sex talk about diamonds being poured all over Halle Berry's body.
Yeah. Sex and diamonds.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's like really weird because all I'm thinking the whole time is like, aren't diamonds supposed to be like super sharp and be able to cut?
No, you
It'd
don't
be
want.
very uncomfortable.
There's no yeah, but there's like that whole thing of like it's like something that you trade for sex, like in like the major themes of like patriarchy.
Well,
why do we have diamonds?
And the other crazy thing was apparently when Halle Berry was pitched this film, this was pitched as like the start for a spin-off franchise following Jynx, Halle Berry's character.
That was also talked of with Michelle Yeoh as well in Tomorrow Never
really?
Dies. Yeah, it's considered. Maybe it didn't get as far as where it was with Halle Berry.
That didn't quite work out.
Yeah, they're always considering spin-offs, especially if it's like a badass Bond girl.
Yeah.
So you were saying Hufflepuff. You're saying there's an argument for Gryffindor. Let's hear it.
Yeah, well, it's between this and World Is Not Enough. You can kind of make arguments for both. So this one definitely goes for it, which I think is the Gryffindor
shot
aspect
for the moon.
of it. It shot for the moon, yeah.
Because the bad guy's name is Moon. And it shot for
So, yeah, and you definitely see Bond kind of working as a free agent for a moment.
It's doing a lot more that is unconventional for Bond.
No, that is true.
Yeah. But then you have a really silly fencing scene where it's one thing I liked about the Gustav Graves character is that he said when he became Gustav Graves, like he modeled his character after James Bond. He said like, oh, I took everything from you. Just like your arrogance, your swagger.
Get her,
like,
Jade. Yes.
Yeah, it's like I'm basically just emulating you right now. So it was a very like kind of like a cockfight at first of the fencing scene where like Gustav Graves is going to do a fencing match with Bond. It's very civil at first. And then 2 matches out of 3 Graves wins and Bond says, let's up the ante. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls out one of these diamonds, like, let's play for this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is one of his diamonds. So it's kind of like, then Graves kind of knows that this Bond guy isn't who he seems.
I mean, but he also knows because he's Moon. So he sees James Bond as like, fuck this guy.
Right.
Okay,
right.
no, I
yeah,
can see like for all
civil.
of those things, it goes for it. Doesn't necessarily succeed, and I think that's very much what Gryffindor does.
Yeah. Well, I should say it goes from beyond a fence. So this third bout with fencing, it's like it goes into like throwing punches. They go off the strip. They're no longer on the. They're like, are they going through Buckingham? No, it's supposed to be some.
They're wherever they are. That's a training facility, but it's like a nice place that they're just like shattering glass and
they get out 2
like a fancy
broadswords at one point. They find 2 broadswords that are locked in a glass case.
As emblematic as you could be of what a Gryffindor would be doing.
Right.
Okay.
So
cool,
I think you've just made the point for Gryffindor.
It could be, but yeah, I guess as silly as these things are, they're silly in a very Gryffindor type of way.
Yeah, the silly Gryffindor.
Riding parachuting.
Like they're all the things that
surfing a tsunami
that you think would be like super cool, but like in execution are actually a little bit dumb.
Yeah,
which
outracing a sun laser on a super speed snowmobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the whole car chase in an ice palace.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all a little bit crazy.
I'm sold. Gryffindor.
And with that,
Oh,
thank
that
you.
was all of them?
Yeah,
Wait,
we've closed out with that.
you said
Oh,
that
no.
there are some
Wait,
extras.
yes.
This
I'm curious
this
about
film franchise actually has 2 more films attached to
All right,
it.
blow
With
our
As
Pierce
we
minds.
go
Brosnan?
into a segment I like to call Reed's Shitty Conspiracy Corner.
Reed Shitty Conspiracy Corner.
I submit to you
God.
the possibility
Imagine
that
a
within the
place.
extended universe of the James Bond franchise also exists the Mamma Mia universe, of which Pierce Brosnan appears in both films as a one Sam Carmichael, or is he? Let's get the facts here. Both of these films, British.
Oh,
Second
okay.
of all, both of them have Brosnan in them,
Yeah.
and we don't know why.
Those are 2
'Cause he cannot
parameters
see.
that make a James Bond film.
Done. Oh,
And
there's
then
more.
third, Sam Carmichael is such a fake ass name, even
You're
for
right.
like a cheesy musical.
That's an alias.
It definitely sounds like an alias that James Bond would take. He abandons the Meryl Streep character
Is
when
Meryl
she's
Streep
young,
in this movie? The second one?
and she's. I'm not gonna have spoilers because this film just came out. Sorry, I'm that
okay.
gay.
I saw the first one.
Yeah. And so he appears as young. He leaves her because he's like I have to go back to my own world. I imagine that was a young James Bond. He was getting his last hurrahs out before he went back to get his training. He then comes back after he has retired, maybe. Because in the second film, spoiler alert, he does live on the island in Greece. And third, Shaken Not Stirred sounds like an ABBA hit. I'm shaken, not stirred by you. It just sounds like it. Like I love ABBA. Sorry, I'm going to control myself. But I do contend that those 2 films are technically within the James Bond universe. Thank you. This has been Reed's Shitty Conspiracy Corner.
So I saw the first Mamma Mia, and I was like, it was a girlfriend at the time. She wanted to see it. And so like, all right, I'll go along. At least I get to hear Pierce Brosnan sing. That should be interesting.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was.
He's a very handsome man.
Very true.
Really, and like to be honest, that's the utility of a lot of the male characters, at least in the first Mamma Mia. Go
Yeah.
see the second one. It's the dumbest film that you're gonna love this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I know you don't sort people, but real quick, can I sort the different Bonds?
Sure, why not?
All right. Sean Connery, Gryffindor.
Okay.
I think most people would agree. George Lazenby, Ravenclaw, because of the shenanigans he pulled to get in that role. Roger Moore, Hufflepuff, for sure.
Yeah, I
Total
like him.
Hufflepuff. Timothy Dalton, I'd probably go Ravenclaw on that one. He brought a new depth to it. And I'd say Pierce Brosnan continued that. And I'd go back to Gryffindor for Daniel Craig.
No Slytherins in the bunch.
George Lazenby's.
The scammer.
Oh,
Yeah, George Lazenby is a Slytherin.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah, he's a Slytherin.
I think those are all apt.
Yeah.
And with that,
Thank you, Alan Barstow, for coming on and sticking around for what turned out to be a 2-parter
That was
talking
fun,
about.
guys. Appreciate it.
If you want to find Alan Barstow, apparently you can just friend request him on Facebook. Barstow spelled like the city in
There's
California.
some stuff on YouTube as well. Yeah, you look up Alan Barstow.
If you want to find me on social media, I'm at that dang dingus. Michael is at Belated Media. We're both at Sorting Pod.
Sorting Hat _pod.
Pod.
If you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we appreciate that. And let's go do spy stuff. I don't.
Drink some martinis.
Oh, that's a better option. We would be bad spies.